Riding for horses is healing earth with horses.
Horses have a far bigger role to play.
Riding for horses initiatives are expeditions, our talks, and our Equine Outreach project in the Transkei.
Our Equine Outreach project supports approximately 300 horses.
It's a partnership between horses and ourselves.
And it's our aim and long-term vision to care for as many horses as we can in the former Transkei.
Creating empathy and building healthy relationships between animals, humans, and our environment.
If we could care for all of them, that would be first prize, but we've got to start somewhere. We're at our home here in the KwaZulu-Natal Midlands in the Karkloof, and we're just packing our vehicle, getting everything ready for tomorrow.
Our cottage in the Midlands is very small and we live simply. We have an active lifestyle, we're often away, so for us it's important that it's a lock and go situation. Tomorrow morning we will make our way down to the former Transkei and we are packing the vehicle today. There's a lot that has to go into the vehicle. We need to take tack, we need to take medicines, our horse food, the dewormer, so I'm sort of managing the packing aspect so that everything comes with us that we need for our little family down there. The first time I sat on a horse I was maybe 6 months old. My dad actually put me on a horse.
I've had a passion for horses all my life, but my real work with horses began in Botswana when I worked as a ranger. After leaving Botswana, I moved down to the Eastern Cape where I started Fish River horse safaris. From 2006 until 2011, we had a horse safari business here called the Haven Horse Safaris.
I came to South Africa in April 2008. I was studying nursing and I finished my nursing degree and I just had a bee in my bonnet. I felt like I wanted to travel, I wanted to see the world, and I Googled and Lloyd's horse safari website popped up right at the top of the list. And that's where I met Lloyd, and I saw him for the first time and I knew there's something different about this guy.
In 2008, Isabel and I took a ride from Port Alfred up to the Haven. It took us about 2 weeks, a distance of about 350 kilometers. And it was during this time that we really enjoyed long distance riding.
We loved it so much to be out there with our horses that we were thinking of a longer journey.
At that time, 2 of our horses back home at Fish River Horse Safaris came down with African horse sickness, and we decided to ride around South Africa on horseback.
Lloyd and Isabel Gillespie's 581-day, 7,411 kilometer ride around South Africa started in 2009 and ended in 2011. It was not about sitting on horseback every step of the way, but more a personal journey, about their learning from their horses. Insights that they could pass on to communities throughout the country.
When I first came out to South Africa, my family wasn't really impressed about my move. But eventually, through the website, they really got into it.
For us, this journey was a relationship between horses and ourselves. It wasn't about riding the entire distance on horseback. It was about learning from our horses. It was a personal journey.
I've been asked quite a few times if I would do the trip again. From a woman's perspective, it has been quite challenging for me. Not knowing where you sleep at night, not being able to wash for a week at a time, it was really difficult at times. But yes, I would do it again. Since finishing our ride around South Africa, we've noticed massive emphasis on the equine industry and on African horse sickness. It's difficult to measure, but we believe we've made a difference. We thought it's a great idea to combine the African horse sickness cause with a longer journey. So that's how Riding for Horses started.
During their time in the Eastern Cape, Lloyd and Isabel witnessed shocking sights of maltreated and sick horses. Horses that form part of the lives of residents in the rural areas, spurring them to take action.
Because we had the base here, we might as well just try and help some of the rural horses that were in need.
We have different initiatives, one of which is this Equine Outreach project based at the Haven. One is our African horse sickness ride around South Africa. And another initiative is our future ride, Rhino Nuts.
Our Equine outreach project supports approximately 300 horses, and it's our aim and long-term vision to care for as many horses as we can.
We'd love to support more, but we need more sponsorship and funding to do this.
At around about 6:30 we'll load Roan and Himba and then take the long journey down to the Haven Hotel where our project base is.
When we come down to the former Transkei, we meet with the community in 4 to 5 different spots and we treat up to 300 horses.
We're just about to go and fetch Roan and Himba. Roan and Himba are such wonderful teachers. They do have issues of their own. They look in amazing condition, and what's the bet? The members of the community will ask us once again if they can have our horses.
With gear, tack, medicines and their bags packed, they are ready for the 12-hour trek to the wild coast.
And out here there's a huge cold front approaching, so we're going to go into a gale force wind, which is not great. Tomorrow we'll head out early. The last stretch of road is about 150 k's. The road's quite bad, but we just take it easy with the horses and we get there all in one piece. The countryside is beautiful of the former Transkei. There are traditional homes, and outside these huts you'll often find a horse parked. This afternoon, one more thing we have to do is go and see Dr. Ian Player, who's a South African conservation icon, has really been helping us with our Rhino Nights campaign, which starts in May next year. It's a ride around southern Africa to highlight the plight of the white rhino.
The rhino crisis in South Africa has ignited the conservation spirit in both Lloyd and Isabel, where they also see the role of the horse in anti-poaching, tracking and guarding in the reserves in Southern Africa. As a well-known conservationist with decades of experience, Dr. Ian Player is mentoring, guiding and providing the couple with invaluable information that they need to make their Rhino Nights campaign a success.
What is happening in the rhino situation is being described as a war. Well, I don't disagree with that statement. The fact that the rhino are in trouble is well known. What is not known is how are the best ways to protect them. And this is a classic way of gathering intelligence and also providing protection. So you've got to train people in the local community to ride, and their job is not only to ride around the park but also to gather information which can be passed on to ensure that the rhino receive the right kind of protection. The horse ride that Lloyd and Isabel plan could raise that awareness and bring the interest, the focus onto the horse and its role.
We've just arrived at the Haven Hotel after a 12-hour journey. We drove into a howling westerly wind and a cold front. Because it took so long, we had to get the horses out a few times just to give them a chance to graze and have a pee break before heading on again. But we're happy to be here now, and we've got a good few days ahead of us.
The Haven Hotel is close to the Bashi River mouth, over 600 kilometers from their home in the KwaZulu-Natal Midlands. With space for the horses, it serves as the perfect, comfortable base for the Gillespie's Equine outreach project. After a night's rest, it's no slouching time. Up early to get the horses ready for their first ride out to the community.
We meet with the community in 4 to 5 different spots and we treat up to 300 horses. We've chosen Roan and Himba to come down with us to help teach and educate the people down here.
This horse's name is Roan. He's 14'2", hands and size, and we've been together now for about 8 years. He rode a portion of the way around South Africa with us, about 4,500 kilometers. He's got a good nature, he's very willing.
Himba is a 9-year-old Noordgedacht cross. We've got such a good relationship with him. Our 2 boys have trust and fear issues from their previous owner. And therefore, they are a great example. With the correct handling and communication, we can show the community how to deal with them and how to handle them.
The reason why we've chosen Roan, being a smaller horse, is like the horses out in the community. So the people out there think that maybe a bigger horse is better than a smaller horse, so we're trying to emulate the horses that they're riding on.
We try and start with the children because the older people are more difficult to teach and to change their ways. They're set in their ways.
With the vehicle packed and ready, the first stop is the Hobeni Elementary School, about 4 kilometers from the Haven Hotel. These youngsters make the perfect students when it comes to learning from example. Lloyd's plan is to make sure they develop good habits and, above all, empathy with all animals, especially equines.
Lloyd is showing the kids another way of working with horses. And it's very difficult to teach someone empathy if you have grown up without empathy in your family. The kids, they sometimes laugh at what we say, that the animal feels something, and they actually giggle at it. But then also you can see sort of in the masses there is one child that really looks at you and really listens to you and what you say. And I know that it will make a difference for that child in its life, and he will possibly try and treat the horse differently.
My name is Wolf-Gillespie. This is my wife, Isabel Wolf-Gillespie. Okay.
Lloyd is showing them how to lead a horse differently and gently.
As you can see, Isabel is showing the students, the pupils, how to ride on horseback, bareback and in a rope halter and barefoot. This is what we encourage. A lot of the kids out here are riding bareback. However, they use a rope around the mouth, which is very hard on the horse's mouth.
Language barriers are always a problem, but with an interpreter on hand, the lesson works and the children respond well.
Isabel is showing the kids another way of working with a horse, of riding a horse, so that they see there's actually another way. They don't have to ride the way they've been taught or have been shown.
And he's actually also showing them how it feels to carry a rider.
What I have done is I'm carrying Isabel on my back, and there's a pupil carrying his friend on his back.
We're running up and down, up and down.
And for me it was a good exercise because I actually realized what the horses are going through. And to be honest, Isabel's hell of a heavy.
I have to sort him out for that a bit later. But it's very good to show them what it feels like, not just talk about something. We're asking the kids, you know, what was it like to actually carry another child? And they go, no, it's heavy, they don't want to do that anymore and not again.
Chief Patrick is well respected in these parts, and his village, like many others, has its difficulties with resident horse sicknesses and maltreatment, and he is quite open about the bush racing and pushing the horses far beyond what they are conditioned for, and often to injury.
Horse racing in rural parts of South Africa is known as bush racing and has become a huge problem.
During the Easters, we have got some big competitions here in our village. We're competing by the horses, horse race. You know, there are some horse racers in our village. You know?
It's easy. A small entrance fee and first, second and third places get a stipend. All this to the detriment of the animals.
In the Midlands where we live, locals actually steal horses from equestrian establishment for racing. And down here in the Eastern Cape, they sabotage each other's racing horses. In both cases, the horses lose.
The chief's large yard overlooking the rolling hills is the perfect spot to hold the first clinic. Horses from as far as 30 kilometers away are brought for treatment. Ailments are widely varied. They suffer from maltreatment, screwworm, abrasions, malnutritions, sarcoids, eye infections and ticks, to name a few. Some of these horses are one step away from euthanasia, but Lloyd and Isabel persevere against the odds.
Actually, a lot of people are owning horses because they want to race with them. We're dealing with this horse here that has a stab wound in its rump, and the reason for it is it's a very good racehorse, and the other people that were competing didn't want it to win. It's very sad for us, but this is what we have to deal with.
In this program, which is taking place in our village. I just want to encourage, because Isabel and Lloyd, they are playing a vital role in terms of educating our villagers to look after their horses. If you need education, the education need fund before you can educate somebody. The program can go on a sustainable manner.
Women on horseback in these parts is virtually taboo.
According to our tradition and customs, the women are not capable to ride by horses.
I was quite stunned by that. Actually, once I was asked by a Xhosa man what my father thinks of me riding horses. And I said to him, "Oh, my dad supports me. He thinks that's fantastic."
Ticks are a huge problem out here. It's one of our biggest challenges. Ticks really affect the horse. They get biliary, they also get bad wounds. And this horse with a problem with the ears, the ticks have got into the ear and actually eaten away the inside of the ear, causing the ear to flop over. We see it often on horses, not just here in the former Transkei, but all over South Africa.
So, with the first day complete and over 30 horses treated, they hope that they are a bit closer to impressing on the locals just how important the simplest preventative measures can be. With a long day ahead of them, Lloyd, Isabel and their Rhodesian Ridgeback, Pula, set out early to avoid the midday heat and unnecessary strain on their two horses, Roan and Himba.
We had a wonderful ride on the beach. The first couple of hours, the light was just stunning, and we rode all the way to Breezy Point.
We always rest here en route to Bulungula, but on the way here through the thick bush, the horses were incredible. The bush had overgrown completely. We had to pick our way through, and Roan and Himba really are just amazing horses.
The coastal forest is beautiful, yet full of obstacles and challenges to travellers and community, especially on horseback.
As we got closer, we heard this sort of demented howling sound, which we've heard many times in the past riding through this part of the former Transkei. It's definitely a dog with rabies. It was actually coming closer and closer to us, so we had a lot of thick bush to navigate through. We were worried about Pula, our Ridgeback, is travelling with us. And, you know, a rabid dog will just come out of the blue and bite you. Before we do the last 10-12 kilometers to Bulungula, we've got two more rivers to cross. One is shallow and the other one requires a swim, so we've got to take all our kit off, put it into dry bags and swim across the Xhosa River. And then from there it's about 1 kilometer to Bulungula, backpackers.
Crossing the rivers is no easy task with gear, tack and supplies, but it is much faster than the roundabout route via road.
We just got to the Xhosa River and we're packing our things into dry bags so that we can swim them across first, then come back and then swim across with the horses. Quite nice. One of the cottage owners kindly offered us to use a canoe so we don't have to do 2 trips across the river. Last time we swam this river, it was massive. It was just after rain and it was at least 100 meters wide. This time today, it is really calm, it's clear. When we across the river, it's about a 20-minute ride to Bulungula.
We'll be staying at Bulungula Backpackers for the night. It's one of our bases where the community comes in with their horses. We just hope that the community will bring horses today. Some of our challenges are other social obligations in the community that get in the way. And we may get there and 1 horse arrives, no horses arrive, 50 horses arrive. But we're prepared for that. We've got a vehicle full of equipment, medicine, tack to fix broken tack and saddles. And then we'll do a little bit on education, horse handling, the basics of horsemanship.
After their river crossing, the two reached their destination at Bulungula Backpackers Lodge, to what could be one of their biggest challenges yet.
And we got here late for all the horses. We had a whole heap of horses standing here, probably around about 40-45 horses. And our support vehicle was coming around the back. That's the beauty about a horse, you can cross a river. It took us 15 k's of riding today. With a support vehicle to go around with medicine, you're talking about 60-70 kilometers on probably one of the worst roads in the former Transkei. It took them about 4.5 hours to get here. And actually our support crew may well have taken an incorrect road, because if it wasn't for the four-wheel drive, low range, we would never have got the medicine here for these horses. The vehicle had a problem with brakes, it got you late, all these horses panic, quickly try and sort all these horses out, deworm them, inject them, and I tell you, some of these horses are not in a good way. I'm feeling very, very demoralized. There's one horse has got a horn from a cow into the buttock area around about the anus. It's bleeding, it's got worms inside. We don't have medication for it. It's desperate. Top it all off, this horse is still being ridden. Skin and bone, and there's nothing we can do about it. So we're all feeling a bit depressed. I've just given a dewormer to a horse that I recognize from 2 years ago. I actually recognize this horse, but it's in a shocking, shocking condition. It's skin and bone, and yeah, I'm actually surprised it's still alive. When I saw that horse 2 years ago, it was in perfect condition, having just come out of Joburg. And it really, at the time, really concerned me, because I'm wondering, how did that horse come down from Johannesburg? And in questioning a few of the locals, I found out that when certain horses don't make the cut, or there's an overabundance of horses, or a stud farm goes under, or they can't find buyers, that horse gets sent in truckloads down to the former Transkei and gets sold for very low prices.
But with stamina, the team pushes through and notice that there is a positive change in this community.
A guy came from the community, gave us a full page, all in pen, of all the horses that came for treatment today. It's the first time it's happened in 4 years. It shows that they actually care about their horses. It's amazing how many people out here actually own cell phones. And because of it, we're actually getting more and more horses now, coming from further and further afield because of communication via cell phone. For the first time in the last few days, I actually feel like there's actually hope. If they care about their horses, then we're halfway there. We are at Bulungula Backpackers. It's a community project run by Dave and Rajan, his wife. They've got a non-profit organisation that supports the community. They're building schools, and a wonderful project that really supports the local community.
We settled our horses in, and then we went to have a shower and actually sit around the fire and relax a bit, which was very nice. Bulungula Backpackers got such a nice vibe. The locals came down, they played some drums. It was really great.
With a long day in the outreach program ahead, the couple prepare again for the 18-kilometer trek back over the Gqoga River and through the forest reserve to the Cwebe community.
The support vehicle today has had to go through some of the most unreal terrain that a 4x4 could ever hope for. This is a 1993 Toyota 4x4 Raider. We've taken it all over Southern Africa, all over South Africa on our journey with horses, and it's a huge asset to our equine outreach project along the Wild Coast. Having said that, there's going to come a time where we're going to have to replace this old car, something that's got a larger load bin, because as this project grows, so we carry more equipment with us. More medicines, more saddlery, tack type equipment, and in future possibly more staff to help us with this project. Anyway, we're taking a break now. We're en route to Cwebe.
Cwebe is one of our spots where we always gather to medicate horses and to educate the kids.
The Cwebe community is on the border of the Cwebe Dweza Reserve, and we support the horses surrounding that reserve. We care for up to about 300 horses, and we're hoping to grow the project to as many horses as we can care for. But this relies heavily on sponsorship and funding. And at the moment we're finding it very difficult to find the products that we need to care for all these horses. And products is one thing, funding is another. Without it, this project can't carry on.
We are at the Cwebe community this afternoon. We have a very good number of horses together today. We've got about 50 that came, which is fantastic.
While Lloyd medicates and teaches, Isabel busies herself creating a database of horses, taking photos and noting for future treatments and follow-up. This is vital to tracking the success of the program. Again, cultural and communication barriers become unproductive and frustrating.
And then on top of that, I'm a woman asking a man to do something for me. And in their culture, women don't speak up to a man, so they don't take me seriously. And we've just come across a horse that's full of sarcoids. It's got it all over its body. And sarcoids are a big problem out here. It's a sign of a compromised immune system. So the horses out here, they fight every day against toxic plants and ticks and diseases. The stress of being ridden and worked hard, and they have it all over. Every third horse we'll see has got sarcoids. For us, we're giving a dewormer which will help to strengthen the immune system, but there is so much more that we need to do to strengthen the immune system.
Of the 50 horses that have arrived at the Twebe community, this chestnut arrived in the worst condition. Sweating, out of breath. The owner had obviously ridden this horse a long distance and very fast. On top of it, it's got a bad infestation of screwworm in the sheath and penis, and on its back it has a very bad saddle rub. We have doctored the horse with a long-acting penicillin and something to deal with the screwworm infestation. I've tried to educate this guy in the short time that I have with him. I've tried to explain to him that he can't put a saddle on this horse's back, that he needs to respect the animal. Does he actually love the animal? This is our frustrations here in our equine outreach project. We see it every time, and we really question whether the community respects their animals. I spend a bit of time with this man, trying to explain to him how to treat a horse with empathy.
And Lloyd is working with him, and the guy is he's looking away, he's not focusing, he's not listening. He just shows no interest. That's really frustrating for him. He got a bit upset with him. Please listen to me, look here, I'm working with you, I'm trying to show you a better way.
And at the end of it, I was actually demoralized. I actually became angry, wondering whether he actually cares, and I felt like I was wasting my time.
The greatest impact on the men in this community is seeing Isabel riding bareback, like the locals, but using a rope halter. The main lesson being that there is another way.
You can actually get a horse to do what you want it to do, just with empathy and a little bit of patience. And it's actually interesting to see the reaction from the community, especially the elders. They were amazed at what Isabel could do, riding Himba and roan. And I think we got our message through to them. We find a lot of the horses in the community have bleeding mouths and gums in this area. It's a combination of bad riding, bad handling, hard hands, plus terrible fitting tack. Bits that are broken and rubbed inside of the mouth. And we're trying to show the example of horses that are cared for. They look at our horses, and on one occasion the one man said to me, he wants my horse. And I thought he was joking, so I asked the translator that was there, is this man serious? And he said, yes, he wants my horse. So I said to him, you must never ask me for my horse, because it's my horse. I don't ask him for his horse. I actually got upset with him because it concerns me. If my horse somehow landed up in these hands, they would look terrible within 3 to 4 weeks. Backs would be raw, mouths would be bleeding, and it just frustrates me that they can ask me for my horse.
To keep a horse out here doesn't cost the owner or the individual anything. They've got free grazing, they let the horses roam free at night time, they go and get water wherever. But if they would put 250 Rand into the horse a year, they could buy some dewormer, they can look after the ticks, they can give them the odd medication if they need. The horses would have a far better life.
Their work might be complete for this trip, but Lloyd and Isabel know that their equine outreach program will have no end in terms of the vast area and number of horses that desperately need help. And that is just on this stretch of coast, not to mention the rest of Southern Africa.
There's a misconception that our project here in the former Transkei is only about horses. It's not just about horses. It's about the horse-human dynamic. It's about relationships. And it's also about what the horse is doing for people out here. People are employed because they own a horse.
At the moment, we're supporting about 300 horses. We'd love to support more, but we need more sponsorship and funding to do this.
This misconception has made it very difficult to raise sponsorship and funding. This project is not only about horses. It's about socio and economic upliftment. It's about teaching empathy. It's about skills development.
Being a German, I'm hoping to raise sponsorship and funding from overseas to support our organization here. We're also trying to raise support and sponsorship through the talks we do, our expeditions like our Rhino Night and our African Horse Sickness Ride.
And without funding, support, sponsorship, this project will not make it.
Lloyd and Isabel have spent the last year writing a book about their ride around South Africa that includes an e-book and coffee table photo journey book. Something they hope will help exposure for their campaigns and programs that are doing amazing things for the communities in the Eastern Cape and surrounds.
And this documentary, we're hoping to gather support and more sponsorship.